Yeah, hi guys, Morning Away from back here again as always and as usual. I'm gonna be covering another spirit from the Heptarchia Mystica. This time it's gonna be, as you can see, King Baligon. Now, I recite from the Heptarchia Mystica. He is the same mighty king who is here first described by the name of Karmara, and yet otherwise among the angels called Marmara, but that M is not to be expressed. Therefore he appeared in a long purple gown, and on his head a triple crown of gold, with a measuring rod of gold in his hand, dialed into three equal parts, in the form of a very well-proportioned man. Um, Now, and referring to what it said earlier, that he is described by the name of Karmara, I'll get to that in a second, but right off the bat, you need to keep in mind, I'm just going to state immediately that they are both one and the same. So it's the same entity, but with different attributes. That's also why King Baligon is mentioned. King Baligon is mentioned specifically when it comes to the day Friday. For me, it's Friday. Venus is currently at its strongest, unsurprisingly. Um, and then Sarmara. Um, Give me a second. No, no, no. Bear with me, guys. Think Karmara is mentioned under Monday specifically. Yeah, he's mentioned under Monday. With the same description and whatnot. But again, I'll leave that for another time. I'm not going to, take care of that now. We'll do Karmara King Karmara some other time. But you just need to remember that it's the same entity right off the bat. Uh, so yeah, now anyways, let us continue with King Baligon. You can see his seal as the thumbnail of this video, which is also in the grimoire. It can be used as a seal. But again, understand that this is a formality, as is the case in general. Simply focusing on the entity intent wise is enough in terms of summoning. Now, um, in terms of what he offers, specialty wise, give me a moment. Yeah, this is the description under Friday. King Baligon, who can distribute and bestow at pleasure all that whatsoever can be wrought in aerial or all actions, who has the government of thyself perfectly as a mystery known unto thyself, who didst advertise me of this stone and holy receptacle. In the grimoire, a stone is shown essentially by the original author and the person that dealt with King Baligon primarily in terms of, or firstly, in terms of the literature itself. Both needful to be had, and also this direct me to taking it up, being presently and in a few minutes of time brought to my light from the secret of the depth where it was hid, in the uttermost part of the Roman possession. Which stone thou warnest me that no mortal hand but my own shall tow, and sayest unto me, thou shalt prevail with it, with kings, and with all the creatures of the world, whose beauty and virtue shall be more worth than the kingdoms of the earth. For the which purposes here rehearsed, rehearsed and other, partly now to be exercised and enjoyed, and partly hereafter more abundantly, as the good Lord of hosts shall dispose, and also because now thyself art governor of the 42nd, thy mighty, or just plain 42, governor of the 42, thy mighty faithful, and obedient ministers, therefore in the name, etc. And then you have a couple of notes. A, by note of the former shoe stone. Blessed Oriel saith to me at Mortlac anno 1583, May the 5th, Ameridi circa oram 4a as followeth. Thy character must have the names of the five angels written in the midst of the sigillum Amet, graven upon the other side in a circle. In the midst whereof must be the stone which was also brought, wherein thou shalt at all times behold privately to thyself the state of God's people through the whole earth. So yeah, that gives you a description. And again, sorry for the mispronunciations here and there. And it's not mispronunciation, but it's because it's in Old English, and even by Old English standards, there are some typos here and there. So it makes it a bit thingy to read, a bit tedious at times, but that's fine. Anyways, so yeah, um, so yeah, with Baligon, yeah, what can I say? Now, specialties of Baligon, specifically for Friday workings, King Baligon, as in Baligon. Like I said, he unsurprisingly corresponds to planet Venus, zodiac sign is Libra, but it's not a black and white issue. In the video I did on the entity yesterday by the name of, that was the first entity I did from the Heptarchia Mystica by the name of Butmono or Butmanis. Lord Butmono or Butmanis, Prince Butmono or Butmanis, if I remember correctly, yeah. Hold on. Let me double check. Open up. Yeah, Prince Butmono or Butmanis. Check now, again, by default, this applies to all the entities until I state otherwise in specifically a video pertaining to them. They are all celestial entities in their own right. You know, you can think of it essentially similar to the Arbatel celestial entities. Just because an entity is celestial doesn't mean that he has to be an angel specifically or anything like that. So they're celestial entities by description in terms of if you want to classify them as best as you can, classification wise, that serve under Lord Oriel. Uh, Again, Baligon is one of the foremost, again known as Karmara, but and just everything I said in the beginning, also called by the angels as Marmara, but with the M being silent, so Armara, essentially. In the angelic tongue. In any case, as labeled as Baligon for Friday-based workings, Venusian workings, he does just that. Deal with all the things you heard in the description, all manners of refinement, and that includes wealth, a refined life overall, the arts, crafts, everything. And as is mentioned also in a part of the stone, essentially clairvoyance in terms of being able to view events in the world and what people are up to in general, or have been and will be, so past, present, and future, etc., etc. Okay, so essentially, with Baligon's help, King Baligon, not only can you have all things that correspond to Libra, like I said, refinement, relationships with others, wealth, prosperity, you yourself becoming more refined, provided that that is what you desire. Um, you can also essentially view thingies of the world. You can view what people in the world are up to, essentially like a hypothetically speaking magic mirror. Okay, but vision wise, as in just no need for an actual physical mirror. Simply visualizing, or I mean, seeing through visualization what people in the world are up to and what's happening all across the world, etc. Like your, figuratively speaking, your very own spiritual or astral version of CNN or any major news outlet, in a manner of speaking, strictly. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, that is it. Nothing else. One moment. Um, No, nothing else worth mentioning. Last but not least, Baligon's appearance, King Baligon's appearance. Is that largely described? I mean, I have to admit, this is the second entity that I've done, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same with the rest. Their descriptions and attributes are similar to the Greater Key of Solomon, the Order of the Pentacles, quite spot on and correct. So there is no room or margin for error, I have noticed. This might be the second entity I've summoned, but I already see what time it is. Based on the outline of the grimoire, I am 99% or at least 90% sure that appearances and specialties that they align with what is written in the grimoire. So you can be fairly confident, to say the least, that what you see is what you get, or what you hear is what you get. King Baligon does indeed appear as described, a well-built man, refined, well-dressed, also wearing a robe, sometimes shirtless, so bare-chested, simply wearing a robe in different colors. but generally speaking, black with gold and whatnot, and other times wearing a vest as well, general clothing, indeed having a crown on his head, um, almost like the male version of a tiara, I want to say, but threefold. So one essentially a crown that is essentially pivoted forward, and then there is another one that pivots to the left and one to the right. So essentially a three-headed crown or something similar and or equivalent. And he does indeed have numerous servants tending to him, spirits that serve beneath him. I mean, the average entity does, but rarely do I see them because it's generally speaking not practical or conventional or necessary when you deal with the hypothetically speaking big boss man directly. But in this case, I did see them essentially a host of celestial beings serving him. Um, and at one point he sat in a chair like a king, essentially a throne, so to speak. And the getup or the setup in the visualization when I saw him was typical of what you, for example, see in movies with kings of classical antiquatal times, where everything is beautiful, nothing but like, for example, beautiful garments such as satin and silk surrounding him, and servants, and him simply being catered at every whim in a manner of speaking, or within given context, literally. Either way, you name it, what have you. Hair is quite um, long, almost like a lion's mane. Essentially, think my hair, but blonde, and instead of curly, flat, like straight, and coming like this. Same with if my hair comes all the way down here, coming like this, essentially almost reaching his shoulders. Again, similar to a lion's mane. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for Baligon. Um, no, there's nothing else. That's all. Later.